There's no question in my mind that this recession that we're in is the anatomy of government failure. Congressional mistakes on lending, congressional mistakes on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Federal Reserve mistakes on the interest rate. This is the anatomy of government failure. But following along with that, then naturally, when you're going to make interest rates 1%, people are going to borrow dollars and buy anything. And one of the things that they loved to buy was housing, and they did. And we built 3.5 million too many homes. The trouble we have here then is Americans are saying, look it, I need 100% financing. I don't have any money down. I don't have any credit record. And banks and loaners were saying, that's no problem. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will guarantee those loans. So here we go. And now we begin to build a Rube Goldberg system. I'll just call this collateralized debt obligations. I know that's a big word. Let me back up and explain it. Look at, when all those loans were being made, they go into the bank, they package them together. Yes, they're subprime. Yes, they're going to become toxic, but be that as it may. And they put them together as residential mortgage-backed securities. And then they put more and more of them together. In fact, they put so many of them together that they're now going to call them collateralized mortgage obligations. Okay, fine. And now it's starting to get big. They said, you know what? We can securitize these and sell them like crazy, make billions and billions of dollars. What if we allow students to add their student loans to this, car loans to this, small business loans to this, credit card receivables to this, and we'll call this whole big package collateralized loan obligations. Okay, that's what we're going to do. They securitize, tranche them, sell them out according to risk, and it's now getting very, very complicated. In fact, now they're combining one CLO with more, and now they call them collateralized debt obligations, CDOs. In one CDO, in one particular bank, you might have 20 million underlying loans. Now the market looks at this and says, whose loans are they? How many are toxic? What's the composition of these loans? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They cannot be priced. And when they cannot be priced, now the market begins to do a meltdown. The market says it's complicated, well, there's no way anybody can figure this thing out. And so government steps in and says, oh my gosh, we have created a Rube Goldberg problem. So what we're going to do is we've got to just pour some cash into the American economy. And they poured over $500 billion into the economy, thinking that's going to solve the problem. And it didn't even touch it, because it didn't touch the toxic assets. Hello. Then government says, let's spend another 2/3 of $1 trillion called TARP, Troubled Asset Release Program. And so we'll buy off those troubled assets. And they tried to do that. And guess what? They could not be priced. So that system didn't work. So then government comes up with another idea, PPIP, Public-Private Investment Program, and said, hey, what about we split this, half treasuries, half private, and they'll figure it out. The private got in with the treasury to try to figure out these big pools of underlying loans, and they said, we can't price it. We don't know. The markets melted down, absolutely melted down. No one knew what was going on. Well, what's the end result of all this? The end result is obviously Merrill Lynch, bye-bye, AIG, hello, Lehman, Bear Stearns, a lot of banks going bankrupt, a lot of people. So the devastation was wide and it was long. But here's where we are. We're never going to be able to figure out those CDOs and what's underlying those. So we have to move on and say, now new loans that are coming on, we have to be selective. We have to know the composition. We have to know how those loans are performing. So we've learned a huge lesson from this debacle. That doesn't solve anybody's problem of the 5 million people who lost their jobs, of the banks that went under, etc. It doesn't solve that problem at all. But as we move from here, we should not make these kinds of mistakes. And so another learning experience and another recession.